What's up, and welcome to the Non-Fungible Creator Show. This is your host, Non-Fungible TC, Non-Fungible Today, and Non-Fungible Tomorrow. Today, we are very happy to have Deadstock from Tempel Tuttle Footwear on our show today. So, how are you, Deadstock?
Good. I'm good, Tim. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, I know you're not feeling so well today, but you still decided to make it, so thank you so much. So, can you tell the audience more about yourself? What's your background, and yeah.
Yeah. So sure. So my background is in real life. I've been in the sneaker industry for about 15 years, or the broader, let's call it footwear industry, working in sneaker brands and boot brands for big names that globally people have heard of. And, that's what I've been doing for the last 15 years. And, with the metaverse, and I know we'll talk through all that, I created a digital footwear brand, so to speak.
Okay, so you have some background in the footwear industry, actually a lot of background. And so can you tell us more about your Web 3.0 story? How did you get involved in the blockchain, the NFTs, and also the metaverse?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think probably like many people, I saw at some point I happened across a news article or something along the lines of about NFTs and punks and people that just sparked my curiosity because I had absolutely no idea what that was about. I saw punks who were selling for, many hundreds of thousands of US dollars. I saw people had sold a piece of digital art for about $69 million. And I just said, what on earth is this? I had no idea what was going on. This was probably mid 2021 at this point. And I, my curiosity led me to going down the rabbit hole, so to speak. And I found myself looking up what's going on, trying to understand it, and quickly realizing what was happening in terms of the digitization and sort of the ownership of assets and all of the things that are happening with NFTs these days. And for me, having spent the better part of the last 15 years in the footwear industry, in my mind, I made the immediate connection to say, well, gosh, there has to be a play there for a digital application of footwear. And so I remember it even like, a day later after going down the rabbit hole, I said to myself, I think I could probably create a digital footwear brand. And that was the start of this. And from there, it was just a lot of research, a lot of figuring out what's going on, and then building a plan for where would I start, how would I start, and what would I want to create. So that's it, really. It was just the curiosity that came out of seeing a bunch of stuff happening and knowing nothing about it, 9 months ago.
So I would say that this all happened within a year, right? Just like 9 months ago, as you said. And so your footwear brand is actually called Tempel Tuttle. And can you tell us more? I have it on the screen right now.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, one of the things you might realize in footwear is a lot of brands aren't necessarily, the names don't mean a heck of a lot. Sure, you can make the association what Nike means. Everyone knows that. But a lot of brands, just the name doesn't mean much. But for me, I named it after a comet. So Tempel Tuttle is actually a comet. And I said, what the hell, I'll go name it after a comet. For really not a heck of a lot more forethought than that. But yeah, the website, it looks like you're scrolling on it. This is basically one of the things I chose to do was stand up a traditional, I guess, call it Web 2.0 website as I got going. And I didn't know how to start it, but this has been a buildup, I guess, this website you're showing from everything I've been doing. And I wanted to create a Web 2.0 presence to show the brand and everything it does, and try to connect together and unify all of the various assets that live, whether they're on OpenSea, whether they're in a different, the Sandbox marketplace or the Decentraland marketplace. And I wanted to create something that, as I was building in different worlds, I could always have a unifying point where I could bring the consumer back to say, here's what this brand is about. So this is, a traditional Web 2.0 website, let's say. And what you're doing now is you're scrolling through and you're seeing the various, let's call them collections I have on different metaverses. So that's the Sandbox collection, which just launched last week. I think you were scrolling through and you showed a little from CryptoVoxels and Decentraland, but again, and this didn't all come together overnight. This has been built over the last 9 months in stages. Started with CryptoVoxels and I moved on from there. But yeah, that's what this website is. But the brand itself is, the idea behind it is it's a like a boot or a brown shoe brand, not a sneaker brand. Which, if you look at the collection of items that I make, they're not a lot of sneakers.
Yeah.
And that's by design, because I wanted to create something that wasn't on the sneaker side of the ledger, so to speak. Because my viewpoint was that, as brands and creators and artists get into this space, inevitably, I believe the first place they'll go is sneakers, because it's cool.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go the other way, and let's say, again, create on the other side of the ledger, to give myself a little bit more space to own it, and to to have my own domain to sort of play in and try to create something that wasn't sneaker oriented.
So you mentioned that you are on different metaverses, and that's really amazing, because I know that you built your brick-and-mortar store in different metaverses. Say, for example, Substrata, which we have right now. I could pull it up. So right now I'm in Substrata, and so basically this is your metaverse. I mean, sorry, your store. And as you can see, you display like the Sandbox avatar, how the boots would like the footwear would look like, and then also this is for CryptoVoxel. And then this is for
so that's the CryptoVoxel avatar.
Yeah, Ready Player Me.
That's Ready Player Me, which there's nothing there yet, but maybe someday.
And then you also have Decentraland, and the really
that's right. So those are all the avatars that you would see in those worlds, with the footwear that you can buy for those avatars.
Yeah, and the really cool thing is that you are able to put your years of footwear experience and to create the branding. You even have these advertising board, or POS, I would say, and then you'll have the story as well about the footwear for the discerning avatar. So you basically did a branding for your whole Tempel Tuttle brand, and you also have different social medias that's being featured on your store. So it really does look like going to an actual store, and then you have the interior design as well. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, thanks.
And
I mean, that honestly, that was the intent, was getting into this. I didn't know where to start, but it seemed to make sense to me to create. You have to go down to go up. It seemed to make sense to me to create environments where you could express what you want to express, and principally those became showrooms. So, what you learn getting into all of this is that there's lands for sale in different worlds, and to me, that became the opportunity to buy land and stand up showrooms and try to create a unifying look to all the showrooms. I think we'll go to a few more, and you'll see them. They all look the same, and that's just it's the branding element of it. But yeah, so it looks like you're in CryptoVoxels now.
Yep.
But that was the idea, was that create showrooms where you can demonstrate what the stuff you've got. And this was the first. This one we're looking at is the first one that I did. And it's in CryptoVoxels. It's on the, I think it's called Origin City, which is the original island, so to speak, in a neighborhood called Doom. And, I try to bring real world, like, things that you would expect in a retail location into the parcels or into the location. So in this case, you're showing you can actually try the shoes on. Now, that's a great capability that CryptoVoxels enables for people like me. And I wanted to make sure that was in the showrooms, so that you can walk around and you can try the shoes on before you make a purchase. Because in the real world, that's what you would want to do. So yeah, so try to bring a lot of those kind of elements into the showrooms themselves. And on top of that, each showroom has a hidden room in it. No matter what showroom, and in those hidden rooms you generally find all of the best items. So you have to find them before you can find all of the legendary items, let's say. So that's a sort of a unifying thing that I use across all the different showrooms.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting way, because this is a kind of like a game, but it is a virtual world, right? And you can actually gamify everything, which goes. So I was trying to show the Decentraland showroom, but I think it takes time to load the client. But in the meantime, talking about gamification, I know that you just had a launch in Sandbox, and congratulations on your launch. You sold out all of your legendary NFT boots. So
yeah.
So can you tell us more about the experience in Sandbox, like what you did in there?
Well, sure. So, the Sandbox is a great, metaverse that's coming, and many of you know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
It's all game based, and so what this is it's a game
Mm-hmm.
where you sort of move around the world, which is basically tied to the Tempel Tuttle comet idea. It's a big crater in the earth with a showroom sitting on the rim of the crater.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to play a game to get around and do stuff. And ultimately, what you're trying to do is get into the base of the crater
Mm-hmm.
to unlock a room where, if you're one of the first 400 people to do that, I'll send you some free shoes, more or
Oh.
less. So there's a game element to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the fun part or the interesting part is in this experience, you get to try on all of the shoes and
Mm-hmm.
use anyone that you select in the game. So it's almost like its own try-on option built into the game,
Mm-hmm.
or it almost like its own dressing room, so to speak. So before you commit or want to buy something, you can actually go in and try things on, much like in CryptoVoxels, where you can do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The application of it's very different, but it's the same idea, in which is try to bring some real life things you'd expect into these locations.
Okay. That's very interesting. I really like how you gamify it, and thank you for raising up that the creator is actually related to your name, because your brand name is actually related to an asteroid, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
It's a name of a comet. I think it'll
oh,
be
a
in
name
our
of a
orbit.
comet. Yeah. So, is this your
Just walk yep, go through there and take a
Decentraland?
right.
Yeah. Is this your
Not that one.
Oh, it's not this one.
Not that one.
It's
The
this
next
one,
one.
right?
Nope.
Nope.
Other way. Other way.
Ah, okay, okay. We found
Hey,
it. Oh.
yep. So this is Decentraland, and as you can see, it's a bit more empty than the other ones, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a function of how the wearables process works, and it's also a function of how much 3D assets I can jam into that location.
Oh,
But
okay.
um, in any event, yeah, this will at some point be filled up with more styles. I have more styles available,
Mm-hmm.
but it's in this parcel I like a lot,
Mm-hmm.
because if you were to zoom out and look at where it's located on the map, Decentraland's a really big metaverse. And there you go, and everyone spawns right into that center parcel there, the big green thing you see there. And I tried to get as close to that parcel or as close to that plaza as possible. And I was really fortunate to get, you can see the dot; it's only 2 blocks off on a
Mm-hmm.
road. So really, what I wanted to do was get into a location where there'd be a lot of, again, foot traffic, so to speak,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
from people coming into the world, because I wanted to try to get to have a recognizable footprint in all these different worlds.
So yeah, I think
So that's the central.
yeah, I think you are officially the first NFT footwear company that has presence in basically everywhere. I mean, you were the first one in Sandbox, okay? So basically, you're the only one that has presence everywhere.
I'll take your word for it. I don't know. I haven't.
Yeah, but
I
I don't see
try
Sandbox
not to
sharing
compare that
another
far.
one. But this is really
Yeah.
exciting because yeah, a lot of brands are coming in. Like Nike is coming in, Adidas is coming in. You're even earlier than Adidas, to be honest. They brought a plot, but they haven't built on it yet, right? So as someone who got into this space very early, who has established several stores, right? So what is your views towards metaverse and also NFTs for avatars in general?
I mean, in general, I think the world is going to wake up to all of this over the course of the next year or so,
Mm,
and this is going to be much more mainstream than we all think that the world thinks it is right now.
mm-hmm,
I think anyone listening here is probably already agrees with that.
mm-hmm,
But I believe that everything that's happening with what Web 3.0 or whatever you call it is going to be much more mainstream in the coming years, and I believe very strongly that so will digital identity be something that people really care about.
mm,
And you can already start to see that happening with you know Twitter profiles and all that stuff, which is why
mm-hmm,
part of why punks do what they do and apes do what they do, because it's instant digital flex on Twitter and all those things.
mm-hmm,
And I think the future is much more much more importance and put on digital identity
Mm-hmm.
in Web 3.0. So generally, I think everything's going to move this way. And I think it's really, I feel very fortunate, quite honestly, to have found it. Not
Mm-hmm.
super early, but I guess early enough where I feel like I can create and do interesting things. And if ultimately it never goes anywhere, whatever. I gave it a good old try. But I do believe that this is where I guess the web is headed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So for people who are questioning, right? They when we talk about the metaverse, it is still a relatively new concept, and a lot of people have a concept that a metaverse is kind of like virtual reality and that type of stuff. But in substance, it is actually more different than that. From what we've seen, there's actually places where you can buy, you can try NFTs as wearables. Okay, so what would you say to the people who question about the business model, or people who question, oh, does it really work? Does having a store in the metaverse selling NFTs to digital avatars work? Does metaverse job really exist? What would your answer to them?
I mean, the answer is I make sales, I make
Mm-hmm.
revenue from this. There are people that buy wearables to put on their avatars,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's in one metaverse or the other, but it is happening. And yeah, I mean, I think the future is we're all very accustomed to going to our favorite store's website,
Mm-hmm.
and shopping on a flat web 2.0 website like the one you're showing here on your screen,
Mm-hmm.
and engaging with a brand that way, and then buying something, sticking it in your,
Mm-hmm.
you know, putting it in your cart, and and buying it. I think in the future we're going to be very used to visiting a brand's showroom, much like you showed in Substrata, where you immerse yourself in the experience. You go into the store digitally, and you buy something. I think that's going to be part and parcel how things work. And because people are going to be running around doing that, they're going to care about what they look like. They're going to care about what that avatar looks like, what that digital identity looks like. And if you believe all that, which I do, certainly there's commerce to be had in that space. Um, and even if there isn't commerce, there's certainly enough. You can always take what you have, break off the parts, and sell all the parts of it. So there's lots of ways to find your way through this.
Absolutely. So for other creators who are looking to enter into this space, maybe they sell t-shirts or something like that, what would be your advice to them as someone who is more experienced and have set up several brick and mortar stores within this space?
I would say just start. If there's something that piques your curiosity, just go do it. Um, that's I didn't when I started. I didn't know how to start, where to start. I knew nothing about any of this, but I said to myself, I'm going to do it. And then one thing leads to another, and as long as you grind away at it, you can wake up one day and there's all of a sudden something there. So I guess my advice would be, to get curious, do some research, and start. And your curiosity will, point you into what you should do. And then if you stick with it, I think you'll find that you can create. I mean, and so I mean, I'm not one with, I would call it, any technical skills, any real design skills. You might say, well, hell, the showrooms look okay. How you did all this, but I wouldn't consider myself by any means a 3D artist or any of that. I just consider myself someone with an idea that just can get things done. And so I think that it's doable for anybody.
No, I think that's very inspiring because there's a lot of learning curve when it comes to the metaverse. There's a lot of things that you have to learn to build, and it's very impressive because different metaverses have different requirements for designing their wearables, and you were able to overcome these requirements. You were able to do your research and to decide on which metaverses. Right now, all the metaverses that you got into is actually quite popular right now. So you made the right decision at the right time, and also you were able to create things based because you're very passionate about it, and you wanted to see how something that is in the traditional world could be applied into the metaverse. So
Yeah.
just out of curiosity, what type of skills do you need? Whether do you have a team supporting you, or is this all done by yourself? Oh, yeah. What skills do you need?
It's yeah, I mean it's mostly me. When I bump into something that is beyond my capabilities, mostly in like 3D art and or I don't know, like heavy Adobe Illustrator work for logos and things. I have a great team of folks that I work with that help. So a lot of the Decentraland, or all of the Decentraland boots, are done by a great 3D artist based in the U.S. down in Orlando. A lot of some of the logo work that was needed and done for the Sandbox is a great artist in the U.S. And I'll call on those folks when I need it. But again, for the most part, a lot of it is just figuring out how to do it yourself. And it's, to use a weird phrase, it's figure outable, I guess.
Yeah.
And you can find your way through it as long as you're dedicated to trying it and doing it. Or I found, at least.
And before we wrap up, is there anything else that you want to use this platform or this opportunity to share with the viewers of this video?
No, not really. Other than, thank you for giving me the platform to show what I do and why I do it. I'm going to continue to expand this out the best I can. And I guess, if anyone's listening, what I'm not doing is trying to, make a lot of money really quick. I'm trying to just create something that's going to, last a long time. I'm going slow. I'm not trying to price the items so that they're spectacularly high where you need to be rich to get one. And get people into shoes, basically. And that's it. And I'd like that folks that come into, or people that come into the metaverse and walk around and are looking to buy things, maybe they find this and it's one of their first purchases and they grow to love the brand. And then, over the seasons or years, the line changes, what we do changes, but we'll see. That's the goal. The goal isn't to have a short-term thing that, I get out of. I'd like to see where this can go for the long haul.
And thank you for sharing that, because you inspired me to think about the drop that Adidas did. And also when Nike acquired the design studio for this sneaker brand or footwear brand, what happened was that because everyone was very excited and then people were speculating on this, and only the super rich people could actually get a hold of those NFTs. But you kind of provided another option where people could, as you said, these are more affordable, and these are interoperable metaverses footwear right now, right? You can use it in Decentraland, you can use it in Sandbox, you can use it in and CryptoVoxel, right?
I mean, you can use the versions for they don't go into each one, but they look similar, but you can't bring the Sandbox into CryptoVoxel and vice versa. But yeah, let's be honest. If I had the brand cachet that does Nike or Adidas, of course things would be a little different. But I don't, and I don't. And there's no way on real Earth that's going to happen right now. So, trying to compare myself to that drop or those brands would be stupid on my behalf, because I'm not that. I mean, and I have no delusions that I am. I've got to earn it, and you earn it by starting from the ground up and trying to build something cool, and trying to give people value from the start. And that's all I'm trying to do.
And to be honest, I think you've earned it. I mean, basically, this website is super neat. I mean, it's pretty cool. People can have a Web 2.0 experience. But actually, if they explore more, they can actually go to your different parcels and get to know more what the metaverse is. Basically, to a certain extent, you're educating them as well about the potentials of the metaverse and how your previous more than 10 years of experience in the footwear industry is able to apply into a new media.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I know we're looking at the web, the HTML page right now, but eventually my goal would be, and I don't know if this will ever happen, but my goal is to torch this thing and blow it to smithereens and have have the Substrata parcel be the website, so that
Okay.
people can, when they like, have them go there. Now, it's not that, I don't think that that's not going to happen yet, but that would be my vision, is that eventually there is no 2.0. So this thing doesn't exist. And the unification happens within one of the showrooms, with all the interoperability in terms of learning about things and then being able to transact and move from place to place. But that's a ways off. So baby steps. You start where you start, and we'll go from there. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a decent start for now.
Yeah, exactly. The other day I was talking to someone who's a metaverse builder. So basically, he built on top of the parcels and then he sell it for a higher price. So he gave me an analogy. Basically, like building on the metaverse is kind of like doing a website. It's the same thing. It's just that this website, you could interact with it. You could have more content in that website. So this is indeed very exciting. Yeah. So before we wrap up.
If you go, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna talk about before we wrap up. I know that you love gamifying everything within your parcels. So I was just gonna talk about the game that you design in these different metaverses.
Sure. I mean, I don't think about it in terms of gamifying it or gamifying it. What I think about it, I just think about it in terms of have there be some kind of interesting component to it in whatever capacity that is, because you don't want it to be boring. And when you go into a real store in real life, you don't want it to be dull and boring. You kind of like it's in the quote unquote industry, the old word for that was like retailtainment, which is a silly word, but you get the idea. Trying to just take that idea and bring it here into these parcels in whatever way I can. Combining the capabilities of the metaverse and my own limitations on what I know how to do. And in this case, every showroom has secret rooms. In the Sandbox, there's a game. In Substrata, there's, you can go on a quest to find a secret room, all sorts of things. But the idea is just to make it a little more interesting than just a boring walk in, walk out type of experience. And I think because I think that applies to how people think in real life. And ultimately, it's the same. People want the same thing when they are, I believe, people want the same experience in whatever we call this, in not real life, that they do in when they're looking for things in real life.
So how could our viewers support you in what you're doing? Besides visiting your parcels, is the most direct way to support you is to follow you on social media and also to maybe buy one of these NFTs as well?
Yeah, I mean, of course, that would be lovely. But I do. I guess I'm most active on Twitter, which is the Twitter handle is NFT Footwear. And certainly, feel free to follow or engage or send me a DM. I try to be pretty good about answering everything. But yeah, I mean, or if you have any questions, anyone can reach out to me. Happy to talk about it. But really, just get involved. Come on in to see these places, and yeah, if you buy, that would be even better.
Yeah, and for those of you who are watching, but you might not have the Ethereum or whatever, if you go visit these parcels, you could try discover the secret rooms, and maybe Deadstock could airdrop you a pair of footwear.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. So thank you so much for joining us, Deadstock. Appreciate for those of you who are watching, we appreciate it if you could, as what Deadstock said, follow our social media. Show your support to him by probably visiting his parcels, take a photo, take a screenshot, tag him, buy one of 2 or 3 or pairs of these footwear. And if you like this content, like and subscribe. And Deadstock, is there anything you would like to add, or we'll wrap this up?
No, we can wrap it up. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you, I really appreciate it, and thank you all for watching this stream. Until next time, live life non-fungibly. Bye bye.